Welcome to the third episode of TelecomTV's new monthly programme, the OpenRAN Show, which each month delves into developments in the OpenRAN sector as we talk to some of the main people driving the development and deployment of disaggregated multi-vendor radio access networks. I'm Petr, Editorial Director at TelecomTV, and I'm your host for this programme, which this month takes a look at what we learned from the recent major annual gathering that is Mobile World Congress. The 2023 edition might seem like a lifetime ago already, but it only shut its doors several weeks ago after 4 very busy days. I've never personally seen a day 4 of MWC that busy in all the years I've been attending the show. Now, depending on who you talk to, there were a number of key topics at MWC23, with the ongoing fair share debate driven by Europe's major operators grabbing a lot of headlines. But there's no doubt that OpenRAN was, once again, a significant topic of discussion. And what was noticeable was the very clear affirmation from some of the world's leading operators that OpenRAN is not a fad and not something that's interesting only those in the R&D labs. This is a big deal for top-level decision makers such as Abdu Mudesir, Group CTO at Deutsche Telekom. And I talked with him at MWC23 and asked if he is still optimistic about the potential of OpenRAN.
Oh yes, I'm absolutely optimistic about it. I know there has been some rumors and talks that Deutsche Telekom is not as committed. We are absolutely committed, and I'm personally very much committed into the OpenRAN path that we've set ourselves, we will be leading. And I'm glad that Choi in my organization is leading the O-RAN Alliance, and we continue to drive the ecosystem. But most importantly, I think we would have loved to see O-RAN coming up, OpenRAN coming up much faster than it has, especially to be able to deploy in massive scale. And I think that sets us apart. We want to deploy in a multi-vendor setup and a massive scale. And that's why I'm glad that we have announced right now, together with Nokia, Fujitsu, and Vinesh in our Europe footprint, we will start a commercial deployment already this year. And so I think it has taken us a while, but I am very optimistic that the next couple of years will be the beginning of the biggest expansion towards OpenRAN era.
Well, that was very clear. And of course, Abdu mentioned there the commitment to commercial deployments in 2023, an announcement made during the Barcelona show that caught a few people by surprise. But it was noticeable also that he called out the timeline of industry development, that perhaps the ecosystem hasn't developed and matured as quickly as expected. And that's a view shared by many. And it wasn't just Deutsche Telekom that reiterated its support for OpenRAN during MWC23. Orange was also vocal about its commitment. I spoke with Chief Technology and Innovation Officer Michaël Trabbia, who believes that OpenRAN progress is pretty much in line with expectations.
I think it's more or less in line with what we have anticipated, basically. We have said that OpenRAN is the way to go, that we are a strong supporter of OpenRAN, that we want from 2025 to have all our new rollouts to be OpenRAN compliant. We also have said that it would take a little bit time to gain maturity, and now we see the maturity is coming, which allow us to start rollout of OpenRAN commercially, and we will start in Romania in partnership with Vodafone, because we believe OpenRAN is perfectly suited for RAN sharing operation. Right. And also we will start with rural areas because it is simpler, without massive MIMO to start, but we see the technology is maturing a lot. We see a lot of partners, the ecosystem is growing. We see the energy consumption, which is very promising. We expect it to be better than the one we have on current solution.
So a case of measured steps from Orange towards its 2025 timeline of having OpenRAN compliant systems for all new rollouts, and encouraging words on key issues such as energy efficiency and ecosystem development. But while Deutsche Telekom and Orange, which have always been high-profile OpenRAN supporters, are highlighting 2023 rollout progress, not all major operators are on the same wavelength. One operator that's adopting a watching brief is BT, as the UK operator's Chief Networks Officer Greg McCall noted when I sat down with him in Barcelona and asked if OpenRAN was set to play a role in BT's mobile network plans during the next 5 years.
The short answer to that is, over the next 5 years, probably not. We've got a fairly significant replacement program going on within BT, where we're replacing the high-risk vendor with Nokia and with Ericsson. We're very, very happy with the partners we've got. That being said, we are absolutely on the page of encouraging diversification to ensure that we do support that. And we are very active in the standards and doing trials and working with industry to understand what OpenRAN can do for us. Okay. But I think we all need to remember that OpenRAN needs to solve one problem, which is how do we deliver better outcomes for our customers at lower cost? And if it solves that, we're all ears.
Now, I suspect McCall's view is one shared by many in the operator community. Operators want to see evidence of tangible benefits in brownfield scenarios before they move from tests, proofs of concept, industry body engagement and into OpenRAN investments, which in many ways then puts the onus on the likes of Deutsche Telekom, Orange and Vodafone to share their insights with the broader community. And at this point of the programme, let's get the latest news from the OpenRAN sector. And we'll get the headlines from my colleague, Yanni Boyetseva. Yanni, over to you.
Thanks, Ray. AT&T and Nokia have successfully completed an interesting trial involving the vendor's Near Real-Time RAN Intelligent Controller, or RIC, which can be used to manage OpenRAN as well as existing traditional mobile access networks. According to the partners, Nokia deployed its RIC in the vendor's AirScale base stations, running on AT&T's mobile network, and was able to manage and control various applications over interfaces that are compliant with O-RAN Alliance specifications. That news came in the wake of a presentation during Mobile World Congress by AT&T Network CTO Igor Elbaz, who stated that OpenRAN will definitely be embraced by mobile operators because it's important for future innovation. Elbaz also noted that while AT&T wouldn't be delaying any 5G rollouts while it waits for OpenRAN technology to mature, there will be further 5G investment cycles that can include OpenRAN options. And there was plenty of other OpenRAN news from the show floor during this year's Mobile World Congress. Deutsche Telekom surprised the mobile sector by announcing plans for commercial rollouts in Germany and elsewhere in Europe, starting this year. The deployment in Germany will be in Neubrandenburg, where Deutsche Telekom had previously hosted its O-RAN town trials. Nokia and Fujitsu will be the main technology partners for that rollout. And Mavenir has been chosen by Deutsche Telekom to lead a multi-vendor deployment elsewhere within DT's European footprint, though the specific country has not been identified. Vodafone, meanwhile, announced it has added OpenRAN-compliant massive MIMO radios from Samsung to its commercial deployment in the southwest of England, and is also deploying Samsung radios at its pilot sites in Germany. The vendor's technology has also been added to Vodafone's testbed in Spain, which performs tests across both traditional and OpenRAN systems. Japanese operator Entity Docomo, which is encouraging OpenRAN rollouts at other operators and is aiming to develop new business opportunities as a result, says it is now cooperating with 5 other telcos: KT in South Korea, Smart in the Philippines, Singtel in Singapore, Dish Wireless in the US, and the Vodafone Group. In addition, AT&T Docomo is also developing its own RIC platform. The number of companies building RIC technology is growing fast. Up to £80 million is up for grabs in the latest effort by the UK government to encourage the development of OpenRAN systems. The funding is available as part of the One Networks ecosystem competition that aims to encourage technology developer innovation in 3 areas related to the evolution of OpenRAN architectures: high-density area network optimization, radio frequency hardware, and RIC systems, alongside the R app and X app applications that run on them. Submissions for the competition, which is being run by the state-funded UK Telecoms Innovation Network, must be made by the end of the day on the 23rd of May. And finally, IT giant Dell Technologies has ramped up its efforts to support the open networking sector with the launch of its Open Telecom Ecosystem Community and plans for a new open testing lab that will be based in Cork in the Republic of Ireland. Back over to you, Ray.
Great, thanks very much for the updates there, Yanni. Now, back to MWC23 now, and it wasn't just the network operators discussing OpenRAN developments in Barcelona, of course. The all-important industry bodies, of which there are a number influencing this part of the industry, were vocal too. Now, we've spoken with the Telecom Infra Project, or TIP, in our previous shows, and in Barcelona, we caught up with the O-RAN Alliance, which is at the heart of specifications developments for the OpenRAN sector. A steady progress is being made in terms of publishing those specifications and working with the broader industry to help with real-world technology developments, noted Alex Choi, the Alliance's chairman, who is also Senior VP of Group Technology at Deutsche Telekom. Here he is at MWC23, providing an update.
Over the course of the past 4 years of O-RAN Alliance, we published hundreds of technical documents enabling the developments of commercial OpenRAN solutions. The credibility of O-RAN work is underlined by the standard development organizations, or SDO, for example, ETSI, through the adopting the O-RAN specification into the public standards. So O-RAN specification already set the foundation for the companies to develop products and solutions for deployments in mobile network.
And that point was emphasized too by ETSI's CTO Adrian Scrase when TelecomTV caught up with him in Barcelona. He explained how ETSI works with bodies such as the O-RAN Alliance and emphasized that this isn't just a case of rubber stamping specifications that come through the door.
To explain exactly what ETSI has done here, we have a process whereby we can take works from external bodies, we can process them through a publicly available specification process. They are then published as ETSI deliverables. But this is not a rubber stamping process. The inbound specifications are scrutineered, and if we believe that there are improvements that can be made to those specifications, or if we believe there are flaws, they have to be corrected before our community will allow the ETSI logo to be placed on them. So we received the first such deliverable from the O-RAN Alliance. We scrutineered that, we made a number of comments for improvement, they have been incorporated, and we've now published the first of the O-RAN specifications as an ETSI publicly available specification. What we expect to happen next is that there will be a series of specifications to follow, and they will then be put through exactly that same process. But it's entirely up to the O-RAN Alliance to determine the rate at which they wish to process their works through the ETSI pass process.
And it's likely we'll be hearing about further OpenRAN specifications developments from ETSI during the course of this year. So let's turn now to a couple of guests who were in the thick of the discussions on the Barcelona show floor this year to get further insights from MWC23. I'm delighted to introduce Petr Ledl, VP of Network Trials and Integration Lab at Deutsche Telekom, and Vinesh Nal, Head of Pre-Sales at NEC's 5G OpenRAN Centre of Excellence. Petr, Vinesh, thanks very much for joining us on the show today. So Petr, let's come to you first. Was OpenRAN a major talking point at MWC23? And were there any key takeaways from the conversations you had during the show?
Thank you, and thank you for having me here, first of all. And yes, absolutely. I think OpenRAN was one of the topics on the main stage of MWC 2023. And of course, for us as an operator, a community also, it was encouraging to see the richness of contributors, companies, and operators who are providing solutions or committing the deployment plans. On top of that, also we have seen updates from relevant communities. We have seen the update from the O-RAN Alliance itself, where we were discussing progress the Alliance is making in terms of specifications, open source related developments, as well as testing and integration centers and developments around that. So I think the main point I would highlight was the spectrum of the community, the rich spectrum of the community that is engaged in OpenRAN to bring for operators a deployable solution.
Okay, yes, I mean, there certainly were more voices in the conversation this year, that's for sure. And Vinesh, for NEC, did OpenRAN feature in many discussions in Barcelona? I mean, was there a broader range of companies engaged in disaggregated multi-vendor RAN discussions this year?
Yeah, so I would say this has been one of the most intense MWCs that I've ever been to. I mean, considering the number of meetings that we've had. So for us, I think certainly in excess of 200 meetings this year, with I would say in excess of 80% of them focused on OpenRAN. Right? So it's been quite busy for us. And I think the encouraging sign is also to see the number of vendors and the ecosystem coming together. And to that tune, that every single stand that I popped into, it had something to do with OpenRAN, right? So I think that's quite encouraging to see from the vendor base to do with OpenRAN. And the number of meetings that we've had, it wasn't just limited to customers. It was with partners, with go-to-market vendors for certain segments, industry players, etc. Right? So it's been a good show for OpenRAN, I would say.
And then coming back to you, Petr, how has the OpenRAN narrative changed in the past year? Were the conversations this year much different from early 2022?
So I think that for me, for sure, the main aspect was that it was not anymore a discussion about if OpenRAN will happen. It is definitely happening, and it is more about when and in which form this will be. I think the other big topic that I have seen also is this kind of enrichment of players and contributors in the vRAN space. And that is encouraging to see how also the silicon industry is embracing vRAN and providing solutions or plans for bringing products that are enabling vRAN technology to be adopted. It is it was also strongly represented by the server providers, but also was encouraging to see the number of cloud layer vendors who are also working on a solution for vRAN. So I think the expansion of solutions that we will see in vRAN was also one of the topics. But of course, areas like open front-haul are already a no-brainer because this is already deployed, and it was in that context encouraging to see already deployments that were mentioned by multiple operators that are offering service using networks with open front-haul commercial service. So that was strong, and where the OpenRAN is going forward towards the future and providing new capabilities. I would also mention areas like RAN intelligent controller and associated XR apps, and it was also encouraging to see the ecosystem coming also to that area and providing initial solutions and capabilities in that space.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely lots more happening in the different spheres, the different parts of the RAN ecosystem in terms of open disaggregated architectures. Vinesh, what does MWC23 and what we heard from there tell us about the maturity of OpenRAN?
A good question. I think, of course, there's a sizable number of vendor base involved here, but then again, from a maturity point of view, we see some challenges around the techno-economic and operational maturity of OpenRAN, which, like Petr mentioned, it's not a question of would operators do it. It's more of a question of when. And we see that that trend slightly delayed, in my view, right? So starting, it was meant to be early 23s, but now we see this more slipping into late 23, 24, and 25 sort of timescales. So I see, most vendors using this year and pretty much early next year to improve on these and bring together a techno-economic and operationally superior experience from an OpenRAN solution point of view.
Okay, yes, that seems to marry with the timelines we're hearing from the major operators that are trying to push the OpenRAN sector forwards, for sure. So, Petr, what's next for you? I mean, how is 2023 shaping up now post MWC?
So I think that here we can mention a couple of points from Deutsche Telekom side. So we have announced at MWC our deployment plan for Germany and Europe. So we have announced a deployment with Nokia and Fujitsu in Germany, and deployment with Mavenir in Europe. So this is our strong target for 2023. The other area that is related to it, and I think also Vinesh touched that, because this is related to operationalizing the OpenRAN based solutions. Related to it is also how do we make the integration and testing of the O-RAN based solutions efficient. And here we will continue to be active in our efforts working with industry like O-RAN Alliance and telecom infrastructure projects to look at how to take best the advantage of community approach in certification and badging, so that we can ease up to contributors and vendors to access the solutions for mobile network operators. And the third area that we will be looking at is the concept of near real-time, non-real-time RAG and its development, and looking at the most important use cases that we believe in the future will be the most relevant for us.
Okay, great. And yes, that testing and getting interoperability sorted is absolutely critical for the evolution of OpenRAN. I think everybody recognizes that. And Vinesh, how do you see things progressing in the OpenRAN sector during the next 12 months? Have any of the discussions that you had in Barcelona had an impact on your plans for the rest of 2023?
Absolutely. So I think the next 12 months, in my view, will be used to bring together a techno-economic and operationally mature solution out to the market. But then again, this is more in the realms of macro, right? So in the interim period, we see solutions popping up for in-building, for small cells, be it indoor or outdoor, and large enterprise, neutral host segments, MPN. So we see a lot of focus coming into these areas in the interim while we mature the macro solution. So I think for NEC, it's all about investing to make sure that we have a solution that fits and matches operators' demand for a quality network.
So thank you, Vinesh. And of course, a great point there that OpenRAN is applicable to the enterprise sector as well as the mobile operator sector, and plenty of activity going on there. Great insights from both of you. So thanks very much, Vinesh and Petr, for joining us today. So great insights there post MWC. Thanks again to Petr and Vinesh. And that brings us to the end of this episode of the OpenRAN show. Thanks very much for watching, and please join us again next month for what the critics are already calling episode 4. Ta-ta for now.